In this lecture, we're going to mock a promise by Firebase. Before we do, I want to explain why. It's common practice to mock dependencies that send requests. Firebase is an example of this type of dependency. The reason is simple. It's possible for a request to fail due to downtime. If Firebase is down, the test will fail. Sending requests to third-party APIs can be unreliable. Rather than roll the dice, we should mock Firebase. If we mock Firebase, we never have to worry about a test failing. Vitest provides a function for helping us mock dependencies. Open the pinia.spec.js file. Below the import statements, call the vi.mock function. The vi.mock function allows us to mock a dependency. We'll discuss how it works in a moment. First, let's fill in the blanks. This function has two arguments. The first is the path to dependency. Set the dependency to @/includes/Firebase. The second argument will be a function that returns an object. Let me break down what will happen. When Firebase gets imported, Vitest will detect that Firebase is being imported from the user store. Before the file is imported, Vitest will prevent the file from being imported. Instead, the import statement will be replaced with the value from the second argument. The first argument to the vi.mock function is the import path it should watch out for. The path must match the path we're using in the user store. If these paths match, Vitest will not allow the import statement in the user store to work. Instead, it'll tell the component to import the value we're returning in the second argument of the vi.mock function. If we look at our vi.mock function, we're returning an empty object. This object is what will be imported from the dependency. This is how mocking a dependency works. We can trick our application into importing a fake dependency instead of the real dependency. We're using a fake dependency because we don't need Firebase for our test. We're not finished yet. Let's view the user store file. Scroll to the authentication function. In this function, we're accessing the auth.signin function. These properties do not exist within our mocked dependency. Therefore, the test will fail because of an undefined error. The inner contents of the dependency must be mocked too. Luckily, this process is very easy. We're going to modify the object we're returning in our function. We're going to mock the auth.signin with email and password function. Add in the auth object. Inside the object, add the sign-in with email and password function. We can't leave it at this. The function we're mocking returns a promise. This promise should be resolved. Inside this function, we'll return the promise.resolve function. This is an important step. In some cases, you can just mock a value or function and be done with it. However, when mocking a promise, the promise must be resolved or rejected. Otherwise, the test may not be able to continue. Let's try running the test one more time. Everything passes. We learned how to test an action. It does involve mocking a module, but it's well worth it. Anytime you're dealing with asynchronous tasks, you'll want to consider mocking them, especially if they're HTTP requests. They're prone to errors. In the next lecture, we'll continue writing tests for our store.